Hey again. So, once again, it is I guess it's, time going so fast, it is coming towards the end of February. But anyway, I wanted to be a little bit more on topic this video than my last ones. But that topic I want to specifically talk about is the idea of, hasn't really been going around that much, I guess, but it has a little bit. This dead internet topic, and it was basically saying, is or will Reddit become dead internet in the near future? And then, a lot of the comments and stuff basically saying that it already is dead internet and stuff like that. But initially, when I heard the topic, I didn't really know exactly what it meant by dead internet. Like, I didn't really know the definition of it. Like, it sounds, it's a little bit vague, a little bit broad when you say dead anything, I guess. And something as big as encompassing as the internet, it's like, what the heck does that mean? So, at least from what I have seen or discerned, is the idea of the dead internet is basically when the internet or parts of the internet become dead. It means like they have been completely overrun or completely almost devoid of any actual human beings in those forums or whatever, any parts of the internet, I guess. So, that being either replaced or taken over, whatever you want to say, by stuff like AI, bots, bot networks, just, artificial intelligence, whatever, that kind of crap. And by being taken over by these bots or being devoid of actual humans, like basically if you went to one of these forums that are like considered dead internet or whatever, like by that definition, any content you would see or any post you would see, any user you would see, they would all be just artificial intelligence replaced by, not replaced per se, but like they would just be AI replicating human interactions, just like with these smart AI, whatever the heck I'm trying to remember the name of some of them, but I honestly forget. The like the chat bots. Yeah, I guess you could say like the chat bots and stuff like that. All the articles being written by AI instead of any humans or anything like that. And I suppose also the big point is that it would almost be sort of indiscernible. Probably, maybe that's not a part of it, but sort of indiscernible from as if it was a not dead internet thing. I guess I think the topic is very interesting because I think it is very prevalent in the, depending on where you're willing to, how far you're willing to go with the topic. Many could say that the internet, since it started, was dead internet or something like that. Like, it was all already mostly AI, or, we talk about NPCs and stuff. What would you consider an NPC? It's a non-player character, essentially an AI, like a artificial intelligence controlled, or whatever you want to say, an artificial intelligence, not a real human or not a real person, that kind of thing. So, if the internet is mostly NPCs now, I guess, or just maybe it always was it always dead internet, or is it? But I think that could be definitely argued by people that have been on the internet for a long time, or forever, whatever. They've been on the internet since they were kids or since they were adults, so they knew what it was like when it quote-unquote first started, or at least it became more popular or whatever. Many of them would say that the internet was much different before it became more mainstream, I guess, or it became just like anything. Like, the video game culture, stuff like that was much different, at least people would say, people would feel, when it was not something that was super popular or something that was mainstream. And then it became something completely different. So one could say the same thing with the dead internet theories. Like, the internet was much different, they feel, when it was first, quote unquote, first started. Like, at first given to people or first presented to people in some way they could use it in their everyday lives. And probably some of the stuff they would say is stuff like forums were much more prevalent. User-made websites were much more prevalent instead of these, whatever you want to say, soulless, cookie-cutter corporate websites and stuff like that. One could say it was much different back then. I can't really attest to this. I sort of can, because I was very young when the internet was also young. Like, I was definitely not somebody who would be considered an early adopter to the internet, because I was just so young. The only access to it was basically whatever our parents had for us, which was, they didn't know much. So it was like very, very base level. I didn't know how to make websites. I didn't make websites. I only just used whatever search engines that there was. Obviously it was pretty much just Google, maybe Yahoo sometimes. So definitely not a good example of somebody who would know what it was like originally. But I did see there was I was there somewhat to remember those times. And yeah, it was much different. But, if I want to be realistic or honest, whatever, I am not going to say that it was completely like, definitely not any AI and stuff like that, because it definitely was. It's just, it might have felt like that back then, or from our memories of it or whatever. When in reality, it was most likely, could be just as much AI influenced or AI populated as it is now. It just was, our perception was different, maybe, I don't know. But it definitely looked different. It definitely felt different. How it is now, I think as we use it now, we know what it is like now. But, people like us especially would be willing to say, like, yeah, it could be like almost all of it, or most of it is. On this topic, I suppose I'll start putting some examples that I've experienced just recently, or that kind of made me start thinking about it. Like that topic, I already, like, knew and was thinking about it occasionally, like, oh yeah, like, that's definitely not a person, that's definitely an AI, that's definitely a bot. It was more recently that I started to think, manifest to think about it more, which, as it always works, the more you think about it, the more you create it in your own reality. And the specific examples that I had were stuff like YouTube comments. I think that one is as I was saying, a pretty obvious giveaway. You could see it very clearly. Like, you'd have to be lying to yourself to think that it is otherwise, kind of thing. It's just so in your face. So it was just recently, Matt uploaded. Yeah, it was like a week, maybe 2 weeks or something ago, where he uploaded the thing. It's not the most recent one, but the one before that, talking about the truck crap. I don't even want to say the word because I don't feel like having bots coming about it, but the stuff involving trucks, that crap. He was talking about this, and immediately, I mean, if this doesn't give it away that the entire thing is obviously a psyop or whatever, you know, it's there, it's by the system for the system or whatever. Like, that's the point of it. But you can see it right away, because as soon as you go into the comments, you just see so many accounts, whatever you want to say, quote-unquote people, commenters, saying stuff supporting it. All their profiles are either like, you know, they got like nothing, completely empty profiles with like a picture, if even a picture, and a lot of those pictures being involving the country that it is occurring in, you know, the leaf and everything like that. You know, basically you can see just like scripted responses, basically. So it's like you could immediately see right there through his comments, just all the bots, just replying, involving that specific topic. You know, most people wouldn't even consider this, because they're just, I don't know, they're so naive or brainwashed, whatever. So they look at those comments and be like, oh, those are real people actually supporting this or whatever shit. But in reality, they're just whatever, an algorithm, an AI, a script running. And you know, you see this on so many other videos on YouTube. Like, it's innumerable. Like, especially any controversial topics or anything like that. Anything involving the I don't want to say the word because, you know, the bots, but the Crypt Keeper and the Mario coin. And as soon as anybody mentions that topic, the video will just be overrun by bots talking about that. You know, trying to link to shit, scam, whatever, bullcrap, anything involving that topic. It's even more benign and probably less obvious, and stuff that is even less based on specific in the current public eye topics and stuff like that. The current bullshit news of the day or whatever. The current cool thing of the day. You know, you'll see so many bots in the comments. Hey, and even ones that look like legit users. You know, you'll have obvious bots, and then the more obvious that you make them, the more crap that they are, the more obvious that you make them, then it makes it a lot easier to make the quote-unquote legit ones seem legit, even if they're not, by just giving it a slightly bit more credibility, whatever. So, involving the comments, there's just endless amounts of examples. If you even just look at a base level of this behavior, or whatever you want to say, this kind of idea of the symptoms of dead internet, involving YouTube comments, just the comments. Now, let's go on to a thing that I've been noticing, and I'm sure others have been noticing. Now, this is likely not a problem, or whatever you want to say, a noticeable pattern for people that don't watch very much YouTube, or watch very much videos at all, or whatever. But, at least for me, I watch a very large amount of videos, or at least the ones that, you know, I'm interested in, I guess. Like, I don't listen to the news stuff that Christoph listens to I guess to keep a pulse on his fractal workings and stuff. What's going on with that? I don't listen to any of that shit. But I listen to topics that I'm interested in, channels that have stuff that, you know, I'm interested in. Channels like involving games, involving programming sometimes, channels involving this stuff, whatever you want to call it. Some very normie channels, I guess that would be considered my news, like tech stuff, what's going on in the tech world and shit like that. And it's mostly just more normie bullshit. But you notice very quickly you run out of stuff to kind of listen to or watch that is like new. It's either repeats or it's old stuff from years ago or whatever. Like where the new stuff seems to almost very rarely come, or it only comes at a very consistent rate from certain channels. And then the rest of them, they either come at an inconsistent rate or whatever. A lot of the stuff, like, you just run out, like, in a few, like a few hours, depending on how long the stuff is and whatever. And then you're just going back to old stuff or whatever, or, like, other crap that gets recommended to you, I guess, if you're willing to go there. Maybe it's just because I've grown up or whatever. I'm not going to make that an impossibility that is a factor. But when I was younger, it seemed on YouTube at least, when YouTube was much different or much more in its infancy, it felt like the videos were just kind of like endless, at least as far as I remember. But maybe that's because I also played a lot more games, so I used that to occupy my time or whatever. Wasn't watching as much videos, just kind of the stuff like back then, like memes, certain memes and stuff. But now it's like, wow, you'll just go through your subscription list, or even the stupid recommended tab, whatever, home, and you'll just be completely out of stuff, like, within very little time. And the thing that is mostly weird about this is that obviously the site only recommends you certain things based on whatever you watch. Well, that's not necessarily true, but that's kind of the general reality of it, whatever you want to say, the general way it works. And then anything else, you basically won't get any inkling that it even exists. And I know this behavior because you see it. Like, I have my other channel, I have like 2 channels or whatever. This channel, where I upload these types of videos, and my other channel, which is the one that I've had where I actually watch stuff. And that's the one that I've had since I've been on YouTube, whatever, since I was a kid. And on there I get recommended certain things, specific things. But on here, which is a new channel, it's only been around for like less than a year, I get recommended not much different things, but fairly different things. With that, it is just strange because on both, you'll go through, like, say, the recommended or the home, whatever, the home tab, and you'll just be like, I don't know what's there to watch, kind of shit. Just like with the old TVs, the old TV channels, how that worked. And you'll be scrolling down. It does the stupid infinite scrolling crap, obviously. I don't know who thought that was an amazing idea. I certainly didn't. And you'll very quickly start getting very unrelated stuff that's not even, like, completely unrelated, but it's mostly unrelated. And, you'll start getting recommended stuff that's, like, you don't care at all about. Obviously, you'll start recommending stuff, like, with the system shit, like the news and other garbage, like, cat videos and all that stuff. That general stuff that has, like, millions of views and whatever. But yeah, then you just quickly start getting completely unrelated stuff as you scroll even farther. And you're just like, man, is this really this website that supposedly has, like, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever they say, all these gigabytes, all these terabytes, all these petabytes of stuff uploaded on a daily basis, and you're like, okay, so I'm just one guy listening to this junk, and it's already run out. Like it's already in this one day where all that's supposedly uploaded, it's all gone already. Okay, that doesn't seem believable to me, which would suggest that idea, that concept of dead internet even more. And as Christoph has said in a few of his things, like he says, like, I'm sure you're bored or whatever, there's nothing to watch, or there's nothing on YouTube or anything interesting. And, that's what I've experienced too, and in so many ways, is that most of the time there is really not that much to watch or anything interesting to look at, I don't know, on YouTube. And you're just like, man, what the heck? Like, what is this? This doesn't seem right. But off of that specific topic, I guess, I will talk about another thing I've noticed, is that this is even more, I guess, related to the dead internet thing, is that you'll notice with so many, this once again is about YouTube, but maybe I'll get to it and specify some of those things, but this I'm specifically talking about is YouTube here again, where you will be, you'll have a bunch of people you're subscribed to, and you'll have these people that are very consistent uploaders, they're very consistent whatever content creators. They will upload at least once a day, consistently, whatever time, makes sense, I guess, to have the scheduled go public thing on your videos, and then you can just kind of make a whole bunch and then upload them ahead of time, kind of thing, which is that's what I assume pretty much most of them do, especially the ones that obviously upload at the almost exact same time every day. Then you start to get feel a little bit weird. You start to get a little bit suspect with this, because you'll just see some of these channels and you're like, man, why? Who would be, like me, when I upload videos, I realize, like, real quick, it is a real pain in the ass to make videos, especially like good ones, whatever you want to say, like ones that actually have some effort put into them. And even the low effort ones, like, it could be a pain in the ass. But then you see these channels that are uploading like every day, some of them like dozens of videos, which, I would think that a lot of them don't have too many subscribers or whatever, because that gets annoying after a while to have your whole subscription feed filled with like 15 videos and then another 15 like 30 minutes later kind of crap. But then there's ones that, they just upload consistently. You'd be like, man, these people ever take a break or something? Like, that you could look at that is their wagey job, sure. But I don't know. It just is especially ones that do stuff like that actually take a lot of time, like with a lot of editing. But there isn't too many like that. But still, even those, like, it seems a little bit absurd sometimes. But I guess this one specifically, not even just those, like, maybe those are even potentially AI run or something like that, or potentially ran by some kind of algorithm, whatever, like. But these ones specifically for me, that I notice a lot, is that I listen to a lot of, I listen to a whole lot of music, like, on YouTube. Like, by far, that's the thing that I listen to, at least for the longest duration, the most or whatever, is music. And the primary music that I listen to, I listen to a whole variety of stuff, but most of it at this point is, like, I don't know, like, it's hard to describe, I guess, would be from this, like, game, Toho, this Japanese game. For whatever reason, it became, like, super, like, its own little subculture almost. the music is especially like a lot of people. I wouldn't. I don't know. A lot of people have never played the games that they're based on, but they just love the music. And the games just have a whole shit ton of like remixes and rearranges, or whatever you want to call them, like endless amounts, it seems, of these from this game's soundtrack. These many games, the games in this series soundtrack. This is where you start to think like that, who is uploading all these things? Because seriously, you'll start going like down this rabbit hole. Not really rabbit hole, but you'll just start going down the recommended list, and it'll just be endless, like different videos from different uploaders of these songs and stuff, of these songs and these rearranges and these remixes. And yeah, a lot of them are the exact same songs, and the exact same songs with like maybe just a little stuff different, or they'll have like subtitles or a different translation subtitles and stuff like that. But either way, it just, like, with how many of them, it's so numerous, it just really makes you wonder where, like, is the people uploading these really humans, robots, AI, whatever? And I think it's pretty likely yes, because you see them crop up all the time. Like, one will supposedly get removed for like copyright or some bullshit like that, but then like 10 more will pop up. And then you just have to wonder, if there's so many other versions of these things that are uploaded already, like the exact same things, why is there so many other channels uploading the same things? Like, are they really doing it out of the goodness of their heart, or something for archival reasons, just in case, or something like that? Like, I really don't buy that. And you just see these like fairly generic channels just made, like so many of them, and just uploading all of this stuff that's like the same shit pretty much. And I'm sure this isn't just the case with stuff like these Toho songs and arranges and stuff, but like anything. But this is the case that I've seen, and I'm like, man, I feel like most of these channels that are just like round the clock uploading these songs, these videos and stuff, they have to be AI or something. They have to be not actually people behind the channels and stuff. It just, to me, it just wouldn't, it just would be like impossible. Like, why would somebody be doing that? Especially when there's so many other channels that have uploaded it already. Like, really seems like there would be no point, but they still do it anyway. And you'll just be scrolling down, it'll just be endless. The same stuff, but different channels. And the channels will, like I said, follow a theme generally. Like, they'll have fairly topical sort of avatars involving that, like, game or names or whatever of the channels. And the comments will almost always be empty, but that's just kind of outside of the super popular songs and uploads. Most of the time you're not going to see any comments, but still, it is a little bit weird. And then, somehow these videos get recommended to people such as myself that listen to these things, even though, say, for a channel like mine or others, you'll almost never get recommended them. Like, sometimes you will, but very frequently you won't. Then these other ones, as soon as they're created, it seems like, oh, they got like at least a fair amount of subs, even just for being like a day new or some shit. So not just involving the channels that are obviously some kind of AI generated things or bots, whatever. Same shit with the subscribers, like, and views, I guess, in the same way, but especially subscribers. Like, you'll have these channels that'll have, like, potentially, like, every channel, pretty much. They will have, I don't know, like, some amount of subscribers be it millions, tens of millions, millions, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, thousands, 10, teens, not like barely 100, whatever, subscribers. If you subscribe to a channel, you think that the people would be at least viewing the stuff sometime, or planning on viewing the stuff sometime or fairly frequently when the person uploads. Like, that's kind of the idea. But you'll see I don't know what the term is called, but the subscriber to view rate will be like, for a lot of channels, even like, I think 10% even, or even something like that, is considered good. Like 10% of your subscriber base viewing each one of your videos or most of your videos is considered a good number, a good rate, which is like, at least in my mind, is like, what? That is like that'd be a terrible rate. 10%. And this is like almost universal with almost every channel. They will have these some of them huge subscriber bases, but you'll see their views are like nothing. Each video, or most videos, they're like barely anything compared to what their subscriber numbers are. To me, that just screams right away that most of these subscribers are not actually humans. They're not actually people. They're bots, and I think that's a pretty easy one to see. You have these channels that I don't think that most of them aren't even like paying for these fake subscriptions, or these bot channels to subscribe to them or whatever, just to bolster their numbers. It's just, I think most of YouTube is bots and bot channels and AI channels, whatever. And that's not even counting the amount of like NPCs, not just the legitimate, like not just the actual AI robots or whatever you want to say, but the people that supposedly quote unquote people that are just completely, basically automatons themselves. The dead internet theory or whatever, saying like, yeah, these places like YouTube are basically dead internet. At least from what I've observed, they're basically that. Especially if you're willing to put the NPC theory on the table, it becomes pretty obvious that most of the quote-unquote users on places like YouTube and such are not actual people, real people, whatever. Like, I'm not even just trying to say people like us, that, of course, we are a minority of a minority of a minority anyway, but just, like an actual, not NPC human being who might not even know about this conspiracy stuff or whatever, the truth stuff. An extremely small number, and just a huge number of them are just straight up scripts, algorithms, AI, bots. I guess it should be fairly clear that this wouldn't just apply to YouTube, but it would apply to like every website out there. Basically, every website out there now, at least. Like, even the forums that you see, like the one that I go on is for Daggerfall Unity, and there's other ones for other games, obviously, like Dwarf Fortress and stuff. There's people that go there, and there's a purpose for them. Like, they're there for good reasons. They have their uses, but they have a lot of disadvantages as well. And even on there, you're not really sure if a lot of the people you're talking to are really people or whatever. Like, most of them likely are not. But you're probably more likely to find somebody on one of those, maybe. Like, maybe that's just wishful thinking. But But then these places like Reddit, you just go through the comments in a thread. It'll just be, fucking bots everywhere. And then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, did I really have any conclusion to come with this? Not really. I mean, most of us don't, when we make these videos, have any conclusion to make, per se. But just kind of the interesting idea and the kind of acknowledgement of the fact that this dead internet thing is almost definitely is the case, where it's just, maybe it's obviously not completely dead, not completely filled with bots, but the vast majority of it is. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about that I feel is super obvious, but this is obviously a big thing with the dead internet theory, is like, you go on these search engines, as Matt did, you'll just get this false idea of scale or breadth. And, you go on like Google or any search engine really, and you'll go like a few pages or scroll down a little bit, and then it'll just start giving you BS things, completely like useless results. And then, in Google's case, it'll just straight up stop giving you any results at all. Like, it'll just run out, like, after it'll say there's like 10 billion results or some shit, and then in reality it's like 10 pages of results, which is like nothing compared to that. And then even more so, you'll look through these sites, you'll even go through these sites, these sources that they'll give you, these links, and any of them that are from like not even just the mainstream news articles or anything, like any articles from anywhere, pretty much, it'll just be like, at least to me, obviously bot-generated articles, bot-generated stuff. It's one thing where it is copy-pasted, like you'll go through like 10 articles of some topic or whatever, just whatever, and it'll literally, like, you'll actually be reading through it, and it'll almost be like an exact copy and paste from some other article. And you could believe that some scumbag, or not even scumbag, just some of these journalists, just lazy journalists, just steal from the other links on the website, or what, on Google, and just make their own shitty article. But I think it is more likely that almost all of them are just AI-generated garbage, just repeating and repeating the same shit. Almost no difference between each other. And some people will say that this was much different on the original internet, whatever you want to say, the old internet. And they could be right. You'd see a lot more user-generated sites and stuff, and various other things like that, quote-unquote user. And then I'm sure most of them were user-generated sites. But now it's like, you go through it, there's like nothing almost, not nothing, but very little user-generated shit. And it'll just be like I said, just a copy and pasted, clearly bot-written, clearly AI-written crap for almost any topic, anywhere you go. But yeah, there's more I wanted to talk about, I think, about this, even though this has went on way too long. But I'm kind of drawing a blank now. I mean, I've been walking a while, but but I think at least for this time, I've gotten mostly what I wanted to say about this whole dead internet theory. Yeah, I think it is completely valid. I think it'd be pretty hard-pressed to refute it if you actually just, like, observe a little bit. But I guess the other thing I wanted to say is, anybody that wanted to ever reference my channel or anything, the name I go by, because my name, Metaphysical Truth and Games, on this channel is kind of not a very concise thing to say or whatever. Yeah, just like I know the other names of some of the people in this scene, quote unquote. I don't know all of them, but I know some of them. But my name, I've mentioned this definitely before, is Kirk, just like the captain from Star Trek, the original series, Captain Kirk. My name is Kirk. So if you want a reference by that, and if you ever want to, I don't feel embarrassed or any shit like that. You can make fun of me, you could refute me, you could say whatever the hell you want, but call me a piece of shit, call me an asshole, whatever. I just like to talk about stuff, but yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.